So recently, there's been a lot of open disdain for your right to privacy online. We're seeing a lot of things like age verification on things like Spotify and YouTube. And the UK is making it so to access any adult website, you have to verify your age. And the way they make you do this is what's creepy. They want either a picture of your face, which is analyzed by AI, and they do God knows what with it once they have it, or a copy of your photo ID, which also shows your face, as well as several other pieces of personally identifiable information. Now, this is happening at the same time that just earlier this year, Palantir, you know that really evil corporation, AI surveillance corporation? I think they help Israel commit war crimes. I'm not completely sure about that, but they've been increasing their government contracts this year. And I just think it's a little bit suspicious that that's happening right while everyone is trying to force you to upload your face to their AI program. Now, what this seems like to me, they're gonna say it's to protect the children from seeing inappropriate content, okay? Like, that's always the thing. It's think of the children. That tends to be, if you still believe that think of the children is anything other than a quick excuse to push through shit that's anti-freedom, you've kind of lost the plot. I was gonna say you're dumb, but if you're below like 25 years old, you probably haven't seen this as many times as I have. Okay, so think of the children as an argument made by censors and gun grabbers. Those are the only two groups of people who will use that, because it makes anyone who opposes them seem like they don't care about children's safety. It's one of those things that like puts you on the defensive. It's like a cheap way of killing your momentum when you say, hey, what you're doing is an invasion of privacy, or it's against freedom, or whatever may be the case. What I think is actually going on here is the worst people in the world want to create sort of a digital footprint that will follow you and create this kind of accountability for everything that you say and do online that will follow you across websites, possibly into your real life. Now, accountability is the word that the people who are in favor of this kind of thing say. I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. 90% of the time, the way it's used nowadays, accountability is a euphemism for control. There is absolutely no reason why your online activity should all be traceable back to your real identity. Now, this is still in early enough stages that we can sort of stop it before it spreads, and I'm going to get into that, okay? So, the first thing we need to do to prevent this conspiracy from taking root, because even if my estimation of what's going on is wrong, there's still nothing good that can come of it, really. The first thing we need to do is just don't participate for a while. Like, I know it's going to be hard for you to not be able to see content that's labeled as for adults on YouTube or on Spotify. I think GTA Online is starting to do this as well. I don't know. I haven't verified that one. But the longer you can go without doing that, and just go without, starve them, find alternate ways to entertain yourself, the better things will get. Basically, what we need is for this, at least for the first month, to be a financial disaster for the companies that are implementing it. Obviously, going without all of this stuff forever may be too uncomfortable for some people. But that brings us to my second point, which is if you're in a country where there is country-specific legislation requiring this, use a VPN. Now, I feel a little bit bad about this because I almost think that VPN companies lobby for these kind of laws so they can make more money off of subscriptions. But, you know, it beats having your info just out there. Once it's out there, you can't get it back. There's the third thing you can try is trying to return to the decentralized kind of internet. There are still websites out there, alternative janky versions of what you're used to. I know if Facebook ever starts trying to do this, there's actually this website you can go to called spacehey.com, which what it is it's like a retro throwback thing. They're trying to recreate MySpace, but the important thing about it is it's decentralized and decorporatized enough that they won't be on board with this. There's some kind of alternative to YouTube as well. I forget what it is. It doesn't work all that well. But keep in mind, like the YouTube thing, it's only going to be for content that's age restricted, which there's not a whole lot of stuff that I watch that is age restricted. Like, my videos can get pretty fucking edgy and they still don't get age restricted. Now, the next thing we can do, next in the list of importance, is to flood the system with nonsense, okay? If you're on social media and you have the same info for yourself across every site, or God forbid your accounts are linked, don't ever do that. Do not link things to your Facebook. And all that info about you is true. You are fucking up. The best thing to do is have one email that you use for official purposes. I'm talking applying for jobs, paying your utility bills, things like that. Things that have to be linked to your true identity. And then another for less official things. I'm talking buying games on Steam, things like that. And then you want one, preferably not through a site that requires phone number verification, that you use for shit posting and edgy stuff, things that you would never want linked back to your true identity. And the thing is, on all of these websites, you should be entering a different name, a different birth date. If they ask for your location, you can put in a fake one, but I'd say just don't give them your location. If your employer's listed on Facebook, change that to a fake one. For God's sake, never list your employer on Twitter. What the fuck are you doing if you do that? And the goal is to make it hard to form a coherent footprint on you. I know the way I do things, I typically will put so much fake info out there about myself that it becomes almost impossible to really aggregate. It seems like several people in my house must be creating different accounts on things, but it's mostly all me. Don't use email verification if you don't have to. Don't use phone number verification if you don't have to. Just make yourself as hard to follow across the internet as possible. Now, I want to talk a little about how we got here. Obviously, the whole thing is about combating, children being exposed to profane things. Now, this is obviously bullshit. Parental control software has been a thing since the late 90s. But it goes back to a cultural shift. The reason why this is so convenient to do right now is because we're seeing an increase in prudish attitudes and sexual repression, okay? People just aren't comfortable being horny anymore. And I can kind of figure out what led us to this point. You see, back in the early 2010s, late 2000s to early 2010s, things were chill, People were just vibing. If you wanted to be wild, you wanted to be skanky, you could. But that world wasn't forced down the throat of anyone who didn't go looking for it. And yeah, sometimes you would have internet trolls expose you to explicit things online. It's really not that big of a deal. Like, it would happen once in a while. Some people would get banned off websites for trolling. life would go on, the world would keep turning. But somewhere in the mid-2010s, we saw, I call this the BuzzFeed era, where through sources like BuzzFeed, Vice, Huffington Post, this kind of sex-positive, pro-sex work thing was kind of pushed a little too hard. It seemed like they were really trying to convince you it's okay to be a whore, and whores should be welcome in all spaces online. And that started to rub people the wrong way. I would say by the late 2010s into the COVID pandemic, we really reached the peak of this, where it was just sexuality was over commodified and over monetized. And yeah, that is a sad thing, and I don't think that it's healthy for society to operate that way. But it burnt people out so bad that we saw, I think a lot of this is Gen Z, just being extremely prudish and acting like things like adult videos were legitimately harmful to your psyche, which that may be true for like the 10% lowest self-control people out there. You never want to make your rules based on the lowest, weakest minority. That's how you end up with nanny state things all the time. So people got burnt out on this super horny shit everywhere, so now they want to take a step back, but they've overcorrected. Now we have all this pearl clutching where everything is either objectifying or predatory, or, oh, this isn't appropriate for a website where a child might lie about their age to get in and see it. And it's all just, it's really overreacting, kind of 1950s housewife type mentalities. And it's important to not be repressed, okay? I get that it's a reaction to the whores everywhere from this time 10 years ago. I get that. But if I had to come down to a society if I had to choose between a society, if it came down to either one with whores everywhere or one that limited self-expression and had a disdain for a desire for privacy, I would choose the whores everywhere every time, because censorship is still worse. There are so many things that we're sacrificing just because we're burnt out on the over-sexualized version of online culture. And solving a problem by hitting it with the biggest hammer you can find is never what you want to do. You never want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I see this with a lot of progressives, too. A lot of progressives, they're not as bad on this issue as the conservatives are. They are part of it. They do sometimes attack sort of, degenerate content using different words. But conservatives are the ones spearheading this. Progressives will sometimes say, hey, the environment's not doing so good, so we should go away from global supply chains and just eat whatever food grows locally to you. Stuff like that, where it's just, you see a danger and you start thinking, okay, what can we sacrifice? What can we ban? Anyway, if you've listened this far, thanks. I know serious content isn't usually my thing, but someone needed to put it out there that there's that possible link between, oh, it's just for age verification, bro, and Palantir increasing its AI databases and monitoring of people. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Whatever you do, at least for the first month, do not give your info to YouTube. It's different if you're a partner like me and you got to do it to get money. But if you're giving YouTube your info for free, oh my God, you would have been eaten alive on the old internet. Like, if you grew up on 4chan like I did, You knew to never make yourself that traceable online. You knew, like, people would dox you just to teach you a lesson about having better OPSEC. Anyway, that's about it. I'll go back to my usual silly shit pretty soon here.